Good morning, dear Meruyert and Ainur, and good morning to our viewers. Today we have two speakers who will be giving us presentations on topic of education. First speaker's name is Meruyert Seidumanova. She's a PhD researcher at Hong Kong University of Education. Meruyert will be talking to us about her thesis research called School Leadership During the COVID-19 Pandemic. Dear Meruyert, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much, Mulder. It's such an honor and it's a pleasure to be even virtually surrounded by my fellow PhD students and researchers from Kazakhstan. So I'll first start with a quick introduction. I don't know why it's not, okay. So yeah, my name is Meruyert. I graduated from American University in Washington, DC in 2012 with the Bachelor of Science in Economics. I'm a Bolshak scholar, and after graduation, I started working in the Kazakhstan Institute for Strategic Studies under the President of the Republic of Kazakhstan as a research fellow in the Department of Economics, where we conducted different research on economic topics, but also we have touched upon some of the educational topics. We provided recommendation to the administration of the president. We did some of the assessment of state policies, organized some of the local and international conferences. And during my work there, I realized that I would like to research and learn more about public policy. So I applied to Graduate School of Public Policy at Nazarbayev University. And during my study at during my master's degree, I became a mom. So my research interest a little bit shifted to education and education policy. And during my maternity leave, I was involved in a couple of research projects on education policy. And then I have worked at the agency that provides ISBN numbers, International Standard Book Numbering. And after that, I founded my educational center, which was a social enterprise that provided free free education for children from socially vulnerable families. Yeah, and in 2019, I decided to dive more in education policy and leadership and started my PhD at the Education University of Hong Kong. This university, my university, is actually pretty good in the field of education. It's ranked 9th in the world and 2nd in Asia, according to QS World University Ranking. And Mulder asked me to share a little bit more about how PhD is organized in Hong Kong. So in our first year of our PhD studies, so all of the PhD students are required to take 6 courses. So the university provides us the options of about like alternatives of about 12 classes. So classes such as quantitative, qualitative research methods, statistics, some of the research methods specifically in some of the specific research areas such as education and social sciences, linguistics, and language studies. So we choose our classes based on our research methodology that we are planning to use in our dissertations, but also our research interests. We also have a lot of different research workshops and seminars for graduate students that we can take and we can be involved on voluntary basis. So I am personally this morning I participate in one of the research workshops organized by our department. It takes place monthly, where we can just share our progress of our research and talk about like different topics on research methodology, but also on career opportunities after completing our PhD. So to just share a little bit more about Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a very beautiful city. The English is official language. There we have flamingos in our parks. We have beautiful parks. This park is nearby our university. people there are very friendly and open and honest. I'm happy to just be there, and I was very, yeah, I loved it there. But I came in very, I guess, challenging period for Hong Kong, politically challenging, because, and I have evidenced some of the countrywide protests against extradition bill to China. So this is the picture that I take. This is the building where I live in, and I take it, yeah, myself. So the protests were so big that around 1 million Hong Kongers participated in them. So this kind of protest and the pandemic of COVID-19 disrupted significantly, I guess, my schedule of my PhD studies and the format of my PhD studies. And now I am in Kazakhstan, but I'm planning to go back when I will collect my data. So probably in summer, I'm thinking about July. So now I'm going to share a little bit about my research project, the research that I'm doing. So my study focuses on successful school principals, or школьные директора in Russian, yeah, during the COVID-19 pandemic. And just to provide a quick background of what was happening. So in less than 4 months, the COVID-19 pandemic has spread around the world, which led to nationwide school closure in many countries, and around 1.3 billion school students were out of schools, were affected by the COVID pandemic. And during this time, school principals' responsibilities and their work intensified. So they faced new job requirements under very tight timelines. They had to manage all these complexities with transitioning from face-to-face classes to just online education, teacher-led education, and they also worked as frontline workers, handing out foods to families in need, and also bringing laptops and tablets to students that don't have that. And their role of school principals during this pandemic became more relevant, not only because of their new functions and requirements that they had to do, but also because governments all over the world, they were given higher autonomy to school principals in their decision-making in crisis management. So yeah, my main research purpose is to investigate how successful school principals in Kazakhstan lead and respond to the coronavirus crisis, and to get to the main primary purpose. I have sub purposes. So first, I need to understand what is the meaning of this pandemic to successful school principals, and how it has impacted their established way of leading in their schools, and also understand how successful school principals actually exercise their leadership during the pandemic, and how this was influenced by their understanding of the crisis. Also, I need to understand whether and how their principal's practices made a difference to the school community during the pandemic. And finally, I need to identify and describe the common successful school principalship practices that were enacted during the crisis, and just report if there's any variation among these practices. So my main research question is how did successful secondary school principals in Kazakhstan lead and respond to the coronavirus crisis? And to answer my main research question, I need to first answer my sub-questions. So first, I need to understand how did successful school principals interpret the meaning of this crisis on their school practices, how they enact principalship during the COVID-19 crisis, and why do they enact it in this way? How did successful principalship practices make a difference to the school during the COVID-19? And what are the common school principalship practices and enabling school condition define successful school principalship in Kazakhstan during this pandemic? So my study is significant due to the 4 main reasons. So first, there's not much of the research on school leadership and principalship during the COVID-19 pandemic, but also in general during the crisis. So my study will try to contribute to narrowing this gap. Also, it will address the demand for geographical expansion of educational principalship scholarship. Recent bibliometric and systematic review shows that one of the biggest challenge in the area, in the research area of school leadership, is that most of school leadership literature is based on Western countries and some of the Asian developed countries, but there's not much of the research on developing countries and how school leadership is enacted there. So by researching how school principalship is doing in Kazakhstan, I would like to contribute to this too. And the study will contribute to the understanding of how and why a successful principal lead during a crisis. And I also hope that this study will have more practical significance for practitioners and policymakers by informing school leader development programs on how successful school leaders, what skills and how they enact leadership during this COVID period. So in the future, they will be more prepared. And also many international organizations such as OECD and World Bank recommended Kazakhstan to enact educational policy that more based on evidence-based research. So hopefully my study will contribute to that too. So I'm not going to get in much of the detail on my literature review and conceptual framework due to time limit, but I'll just share that the first time that I did a literature review, this is the first time that I followed conceptual framework for systematic review, and I really loved it. And I thought that following systematic review and literature review and included in my dissertation made my literature review more methodologically rigorous. And I followed systematic review specifically for research in educational leadership and management. So school principalship context in Kazakhstan, it's different from the traditional Western paradigm, Anglo-American paradigm of school leadership. School principals in Kazakhstan are usually defined as school leaders, sole decision makers with extensive experience as a teachers and as a school principal deputies. There's not much of autonomy given to school principals in Kazakhstan before the COVID, but now it's slowly changing and it's good. So school principals in Kazakhstan are not really involved in school vision building, in increasing teaching quality. And there's no universal accepted understanding of successful school principals, but there's for working definition for my paper, and I guess it's shared by many educational researchers, that successful principalship is always transformational, and successful school principals usually engage in some of the practices, principal practices such as building a vision and setting direction for the schools. They develop people, they develop their organization, and they try to improve teaching and learning. To talk a little bit more of how this pandemic impacted school principalship around the world. So first, from the positive impact, that it emphasized school principals' role in leading, encouraging in times of uncertainty and change. But it also impacted school principalship practices in a very unprecedented way. And now many researchers, prominent researchers in school leadership saying that school principalship and leadership should be reimagined after the COVID. So, but it also provided many opportunities for principals themselves and for educational leaders to reflect on their principalship practices and just in education in general. School leaders around the world, they managed pretty good, and there are many successful cases around the world, and the school principals tried to support inclusion during the pandemic. They tried to be more adaptable to external context. They did a good job in leading in complex environment, to supporting their school staffs, and some of these successful practices were informed by this framework, such as inclusive leadership framework, adaptive leadership, talent-centered education leadership, and others. And I think I don't have much time to speak about methodology, but I'll just state that my study is a qualitative research, and it's informed by both narrative and case study. I will do purposeful selection, and I have to identify successful school leaders, and I have three-step process to do that. My main data collection will be through semi-structured interviews with principals, deputy principals, and teachers. But also what I'm doing now is just analyzing documents, relevant documents and policies on school principalship during the COVID-19. And I think this is gonna be it. And thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to hearing your questions.
Thank you so much, dear Meruyert, for your interesting presentation from the Hong Kong perspective. I think if we have a second presentation in a row, and then we'll have time for questions at the end. Thank you.
Okay.
So the next presenter is Ainur Meirbekova, who is a PhD candidate at University of Bristol in England. Ainur is early childhood advocate and certified Montessori teacher. She will be giving us talk about early childhood creativity. We're ready to listen to you, Ainur.
Thank you, Muldir, for inviting me today and giving me opportunity to share my experience. Now, before I start, I need to...
Yes, there is a share screen button.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yes, we can see, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, Laura. Okay. You can see, I can see.
Great.
It's great, thank you.
It's, sorry, I cannot, I need to fix. How can I switch to another slide?
Maybe if you can go back and then do it again. Can you press?
Yeah, I can see the arrows. Yeah. Okay. And now you can see that.
Yes, no problem, Ainur, don't worry.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Muldir, for inviting. My name is Ainur Meirbekova, and I'm a first-year PhD student in a PhD in education program at the University of Bristol. And now, just a quick overview of what I did before my PhD. So here's my academic background. So I completed my bachelor's in international relations at Süleyman Demirel University. It was a long time ago. And after a couple of years, I got involved to MSc, Master of Science in Educational Leadership program at Nazarbayev University. And I studied there inclusive education specifically. And what I would like to emphasize is that this experience at Nazarbayev University really transformed my mindset. And apart from acquiring some important skills like critical thinking and or finding information, research skills, during this program, my eyes kind of opened up. You know, I realized that there is a diversity around us, and that we need to be aware of, and we need to be respectful for. Yeah. And so this was very transformative experience in my life. Anyway, at the beginning of my MSc journey, I became also a mother. And my research interest kind of shifted a little bit also, and I started to be interested in some early childhood sphere. So as I went through different methods and ways to early childhood education, I found myself really resonate with ideas of the Montessori system. There are a lot of early childhood methods, like if you are aware, like traditional, the Nikitin system, the Froebel system. There are lots of, but I found myself like the ideas of the Montessori were very really close to me. And I'm just wondering, do you know about the Montessori system, what it means, and If not, yeah, I don't think I can explain it in a few words, but I'll try. So up until a long time ago, up until 1880s, you know, children were perceived as partly humans. They are not whole humans. They are partly humans because they were dependent on adults. They were very small, and you know what Maria did? Maria Montessori transformed this view of childhood. She discovered that. And also children were perceived as an empty jar, you know, kind of that needs to be filled in with a lot of information inside their heads, a lot of knowledge, even personality, even interests that child needs to have. And so Maria Montessori transformed this view. She discovered that children are already born full, that they have their own capacity and potential, and our task as adults is just to follow them, to follow their needs, to follow their interests, and to discover their interests. Yeah, and her ideas are based on the principles of being respectful for children, recognizing their own needs, following their needs, and recognizing uniqueness of them. So it was very transformative at that time because, yeah. But sorry. Yeah, and then that's how I became actually a Montessori teacher. I completed certified Montessori courses in Kazakhstan, with which were organized by Kazakhstan Association of Montessori, and I can, yeah, and here you can see that I had an extensive experience in working then in different Montessori early childhood settings, as a teacher as well as a teaching assistant. And now I'm also a Montessori trainer at Kazakhstan Montessori Association. So I deliver online lessons on the principles and the philosophy of Montessori system for those who want to know more about it in Kazakh language. And but before being interested in the Montessori system, I had also worked at Halliburton Elementary School before doing my master's even. So as a teaching assistant, so you can see I am a very educational person from the beginning. It's just my interests shifting a little bit from time to time. And now I'm here doing PhD at University of Bristol. And I want to jump on to discuss some peculiarities of studying here at the University of Bristol. If you have any questions, you can write them down, then so that you don't forget. So how is it like to study at Bristol, at the University of Bristol? I think it's because it's a UK system. It's very similar to Nazarbayev University. And because it's one of the Russell Group universities, which means it is a very research intense based university. So it means that to be accepted as a PhD student to this university, you already have a developed research topic which you want to explore in depth, and you already need to have a research proposal already ready in early application stage. And here I would mention that I had a strong Nazarbayev University base. It was very helpful for me in developing my research proposal, and even now while I'm studying, I can feel that knowledge and all these skills that I gained really helped me to complete my assignments and to be like, yeah, I can say that I'm on top maybe 10-20% of students that according to my grades. But I think, yeah. And as for the system, courses and so on. So I'm a first year student, PhD student. That's why I will talk about first year mostly. So as a first year student, you will have to complete compulsory 80 credits which will include this compulsory 4 units, 4 courses: understanding educational research, intro to quantitative research methods and qualitative research methods, and philosophy and research design and social sciences. So by now I've already completed the 3 courses. I have submitted assignments, I have received feedback from professors, and I have only left this philosophy and research design and social sciences. I have a deadline to complete my assignment. So, and then I will be finished. I will be done with my coursework. But apart from these compulsory courses, you have a wide range of elective units that you can choose. So I've chosen 3 units, which I think will be beneficial for me in conducting my research, which are advanced statistics, cognitive neuroscience, and developmental psychology. And as you choose your elective units, you also need to submit your assignments on these units. But me personally, I will not be submitting because I've missed my deadline to register on these units. That's why I just asked to participate like a read-only student. So I'll be just reading the materials, but will not be doing assignment, which means that I will not get credits for these units. It will be just it's a matter of knowledge and materials that I need. So now, so after completing the coursework, you'll usually have a report for progression, as I guess it will be up until December that you'll need to complete your progression on your research topic. By that time, you'll have to complete your literature review and methodology sections, maybe good drafts of them. Also, you need to get ethics approval to be ready for data collection then. And then you'll collect your data in the end of the second year. You collect your data, you write up your results, you analyze data, and you finish up your thesis. And then it's your viva presentation oral, and then you become a philosophy doctor. And that's how I expect it to be, actually, because I'm not quite, I'm just in an early stage, but yeah, that's how the rough draft of this process looks like. And but I actually expect some challenges. Maybe I don't expect them, but I think that it will be challenges will be so it's generally about studying at Bristol University. And now, if you are with me still, I'd like to discuss my research project. I'm just do it quickly. I'll just do it quickly because I'm aware of time, and I'm just looking forward to hear some questions, actually. So when I was working as a Montessori teacher with different children, I've noticed that some children tend to think more creatively and act more creatively to find some creative and unusual ways and quick ways of solving some problems. And I was just wondering why that can be, why some children are acting like this. And maybe I was wondering, is it something that we're born with, creative thinking, or maybe is it something that can be cultivated, that can be influenced by factors, some external factors? And so my research will focus on how creative thinking can be influenced in early childhood by, I'll take 2 factors: learning environment and teaching approach. And to do that, I'll take 2 different early childhood settings, which in the context of Kazakhstan, which are the Montessori system and our traditional early childhood environment. Why did I choose these 2 settings, these 2 approaches? Because they totally differ from each other. They have different philosophies, they have different approaches. While the traditional early childhood approach is more teacher-centered, the Montessori system follows the child, follows the interest of children. And so by measuring, by exploring some creativity expressions of children in these two different settings, I'll try to make some connections to some creativity levels of children to their environment they're exposed to. But I accept this fact that it might be there might be not even be some connections between a learning environment and creativity levels. Maybe it will be a matter of parenthood style, maybe. Yeah, I accept that there might be some other factors, but my research will focus on these two factors. So I will apply a mixed method in my research. It will be quantitative dominant, but I will also do qualitative observations of children in their free play, in their natural environment in these two settings. And I will also do some scale tests, maybe if you heard of Torrance creativity test. So it was developed by Torrance. So I'll do some tests with children. And yeah, that's it, I guess. If you have any questions on my methodology or data analysis, I thought it will not be so interesting for you, but that's why I didn't talk in too much detail on that. But general idea, I think it's clear, yeah. Thank you. This is a traditional setting, and on the right side, you can see one of the Montessori materials. Oops. Yeah, I'm done for now. I'm ready for questions and comments, maybe.
Thank you very much, Ainur. It was very interesting. It's not an often topic that we come across, the early childhood development. Thank you very much, both Meruyert and Ainur. And before I ask my questions, I want to ask the dear viewers, do you have any questions? Please unmute yourself and go ahead. You can write in the chat box or you can ask yourself.
Well, there I got a couple of questions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Hello, Anar.
Hi, Meruyert. Hi, Ainur. Thank you for your presentation. It's really nice to meet you online. I'm a PhD student at Warwick University Department for Education Studies, actually your colleague. And it's really exciting to see how our youth or how educational context, especially educational leadership context, is broadening and developing, and we have different perspectives. I think I got a question to Meruyert because I did my master's in educational leadership and management in 2010 at Nottingham University, where now Mulder is actually. So yeah, we are quite linked to each other. We know that leadership is quite elusive phenomenon. It's difficult to define and it's contextually bounded. So if we see from this perspective, I'm just wondering, how do you define the success? What are the criteria for assessing success? And if you've got a purposeful sampling, and how do you select your participants? How do you deal with bias? So that's our two questions, because this will determine your final conclusions, like meta inferences. So I think that's what I'm interested. Yeah, and again, where would you collect? I mean, your research site. We've got urban, rural, we've got capital, and the defining success in all these sites are quite different. That's some of my questions.
Yes, thank you very much, Anar.
I really enjoyed it, and I wish you good luck with your.
Thank you.
In Hong Kong.
Yes, it's true that it's hard to define a leadership, and that's why I guess at first I had a more general concept like school leadership, but then I decided to make a little bit specified to principalship. So specifically research principles, and not because school leaders, it's so. There's like no definition, and there's no like person like school leaders, especially in Western paradigm. So in Kazakhstan, yeah, maybe we're regard more school principals as a school leaders, maybe even solely, but that's why I decided to just specify that as principalship. And about purposeful sampling, it took me some time to figure out the steps, but maybe you can ask maybe you can also comment, and maybe you can recommend me. So I thought about first, there's a Ministry of Education evaluation system of principals. So they have like, I think about 5 criteria where they evaluate effectiveness of school principals. So like how they are communicating with parents, how they are improving teaching qualifications, and so there are some others. So and I thought that maybe I have some of the gatekeepers, I guess, and the Department of Education that can provide me or just recommend me based on this criteria who they think are successful or effective school principals during 2019. So this is going to be my first identification process. After that, I thought that there are number of mentioning on media about successful school principals during the COVID-19, because some of the school principals early on, like in March or May, they just like adopted online systems from university systems. So I thought that I will go through the media and social media outlets and cross-check with them, like from the list of the Ministry of Education, then cross-checking with through different media outlets. And then finally, I will just contact, I will try to contact all of them, and the ones who will agree, I will communicate them, and we'll go on and continue working with them. So I guess this is my way of different, but maybe you can just give me, if you are, that's so good that there's so many of PhD students and researchers in education, and I'm so glad to be one of you, one of them.
Yeah, if I briefly comment, so as I understood you, if I understood it correctly, so you are looking as a positional perspective. Like it's not actually a leadership. Yes, it is a leadership, but it is a formal leadership.
I like principles, yeah. So principalship more.
Yes, it's a formal positional leadership.
Yes.
And when you say effectiveness, again, there is a literature on that defining successful principalship and effective. They might differ a bit. What else? It's just you told about narrative approach. Could you see your research as a multiple case study if you are looking for a gatekeepers and trying to access through your acquaintances?
So I am expecting to target around 6 to 12 school principals and their school community. Yeah, so it's going to be multiple case studies.
Yeah, I would be happy to keep in touch with you if I
could. Thank you very much.
I think at Nottingham University, there is a national college for school leadership, which is located in the campus, and we were quite lucky to be there. And Professor Christopher Day, who did quite a lot of studies on successful school leadership. Yes. Yeah, I think lots of works can be looked through, I mean, as a literature review, because I haven't seen like Pat Thompson, Liz Wood, anything from English speaking. Maybe you've got different perspective. That's what I thought. Thank you.
Yes, I'm referring to Day and Late a lot, and what are they doing with the International Successful School Principalship Project, which is amazing.
Yeah, it was released when I just graduated. Yeah, thank you so much again. All the best to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ainur, for your valuable questions. Please, if you have another questions from our listeners.
Can I just clarify one thing with
Yes.
Meruyert, are you in your second year? Second year of PhD.
Second year.
Okay. So you're about to collect your data, yeah?
I'm a little bit late, but yeah, I'm planning to collect my data. Okay. I'm late from my schedule, I guess.
Yeah, from your own schedule. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have a question to Meruyert. Since you are studying in Hong Kong, I know that I have few friends from Hong Kong, and I consider it as a very modern, progressive country. And the people from there are so cool. Yeah, they're open-minded. I think they're like Asian looking, but with a Western view on the world. So I'm interested how education is treated by the government and universities in Hong Kong.
Well, I think Hong Kong government values a lot and prioritize education and science in Hong Kong, which I think can be observed by
Sorry, Meruyert.
national ranking, actually. For example, hear me? Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, now it's good.
Okay, so most of the school education is public, and if you just see how Hong Kong school students are ranked in a PISA, which is the OECD student assessment international, and Hong Kong is ranked fourth in math, and I think in math and reading, and ninth in science, and just in comparison to many developed with the very high quality education in these countries. So this can be what? No, can you hear me?
Is now, yeah, there was some internet problem. Now it's okay.
All right, yeah, maybe I have it. Maybe it's on my end. And so yeah, I think government is investing a lot to school education, and they have different programs on improvement. They always have like space to improve, and what are they doing? But they're actually really good on school education. As concerns higher education, so in Hong Kong there are like 20 universities, and 8 among them are publicly funded, and these 8 universities are actually better than most of the private universities, and they are well known around the world. They have very great researchers, innovations are doing there. So Hong Kong, and also my PhD program is also funded by the government of Hong Kong, and it specifically targets PhD students from around the world, and provides them, I think, with very generous fellowship and stipend, and I think that's just the way Hong Kong governments prioritize education and science.
Thank you so much for your answering the question. Please, dear listeners, if you have any questions, go ahead. Otherwise,
Can I have a question? I'm just curious, why did you choose this university, Hong Kong University? Did you have any?
Well, yeah. Well, first I found my supervisor there. I don't know, like for more than 30 years. And then the scholarship also is, yeah, another what, the scholarship, and also the high ranking of of my university in my area of education. So I guess it's ninth, as I mentioned before, in the world, and second in Asia. I thought, yeah. So I guess supervisor, ranking, and fellowship.
Thank you.
Oh, that's so great, Meruyert, that you are sponsored by.
Thank you, Ainura.
Thank you. So I have a question to Ainur. So I'm interested in the nurseries method of teaching at nurseries in England and Kazakhstan. So what kind of approach do you think dominate in our childcare centers in Kazakhstan? And how does it differ from England nurseries? Because I know you have children who go to English nurseries. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a younger son who only yesterday started to attend nursery, local. But still, I think I don't think, but I think we all know that our nurseries are dominated by traditional approach, because we were under Soviet legacy for so many years, so for so long. Obviously, it's Soviet legacy, and it's pursued kind of traditional approach, which is teacher dominant, and there is a pre-planned plan of some program which is imposed to children, and they study this program. As for England, as for here, nurseries here are very interesting. I mean, in terms of their approach, because when I first had a look at this classroom, nursery classroom, I thought, oh, it really looks like Montessori system, because there are shelves, there are wooden shelves, there are baskets, trays, and all toys are in these trays. There is a free movement of children. They are not restricted to any kind of activities which are imposed by a teacher, but they can freely choose what they want. They can read a book. There is a reading corner, a lot of books. But it's not Montessori actually, because in the Montessori system, children are exposed to real life activities with real life objects, and they are preparing for life. They are doing their real life. If they want to eat, they are cooking their meal by themselves. If they want to I don't know, to wipe the table, they need to take this napkin, which if it's dirty, they need to clean this napkin. They need to iron it by the real iron. So they were doing real life, And in this, in England, nurseries are anyway they are filled with toys. They're imitating toys, which are usual to our understanding of how early childhood should be. But it differs from our traditional approach in that it gives more freedom to children, and the teachers are more respectful. They talk to children on the same level, not like standing above, and they have a lot of outside time here. Is one of the peculiarities of nurseries here in England. Even if it's raining, they are outside for 2 hours. But still, it's not Montessori. So it's somewhere in the middle.
Well, thank you for your answer. I suspected that the answer will be this way. So, dear listeners, if you don't have any questions, I have a second question to Meruyert. So Meruyert, you mentioned that you already launched one project in Kazakhstan, and I'm wondering what are the ambitious plans, projects you have? I mean, if you come back to Kazakhstan or maybe somewhere in the world. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I guess after graduation, I would definitely like to come back to Kazakhstan. And I have, I guess, 2 areas where I would like to develop more. So first, it's entrepreneurship. I would my educational center, because before that it was just like targeting like at most around 87, 90 students. But now I'm thinking about maybe inventing and like improving it, maybe doing something with the blended learning and other things. So definitely entrepreneurship projects and elephant. Also would love to do some of the research projects that will be more connected to the practice and will be more collaborated with the practitioners, education practitioners in Kazakhstan. So I hope that I will be able to do some of the large-scale research projects, and I'm taking this time in Hong Kong to learn more from Hong Kong colleagues and from my PhD study to be prepared to do that kind of research projects in Kazakhstan. Thank you, Mulder.
Thank you, Meruyert. That's quite. Keep us updated about your upcoming projects. I have a similar question to Ainur. What do you plan to achieve? I know that since you're on a Montessori scholarship, you're expected to return to Kazakhstan. So I'm interested, what do you plan to achieve in Kazakhstan in terms of the early childhood development? What change do you want to make?
That's a good question. Thank you. First of all, I'm concerned with development of my children, of my own children. I plan to focus on their development, and then if I have time and effort and energy, I plan to, of course, expand understanding of how people understand early childhood, because 90% of the brain is formed up until age 6. So almost, almost. So when the child turns 6, he goes to school and he has all this base that he had in his early childhood, and he goes to life with this base. So what he had in his early childhood is his base, and most people don't understand it. Most people think, oh, early childhood, oh, they don't understand. Oh, it's not the time that we need to invest in, yeah. And maybe I'll contribute to the expansion of this understanding. Maybe how I hope to launch my own early childhood setting, if it will be if I'll have time for that and maybe money, yeah, because it's not very easy. And also I'm planning to maybe to enroll some governmental organizations, maybe to influence on the governmental level, to on the policy level, yeah, if it's possible. And also, since I'm the research person myself, yeah, I like researching. I like doing research, finding information, and this. Maybe I will do postdoc, maybe, or to do some other research projects. Yeah, time shows. Time will show.
And also, I have a last question. I know you mentioned that you took statistics. I think it was a course on statistical knowledge. So can you share a bit about it, please? What did you learn from that course?
I think it's common to all of us as a PhD students, yeah, statistics, yeah, because I'm a kind of quantitative person, actually. I like all these numbers and these strict guidelines. I'm not about, I don't like talking too much, and I don't like words. That's why maybe statistics seemed very close to me. And it will be just, I took it because I think it will be helpful for me in conducting my research, not just because I like statistics or I like numbers, yeah. Because I will be conducting scaled test, which is quite quantitative. I will need the statistics knowledge, and maybe if you want to specify your question, what do you mean by knowledge and statistics?
Did you learn like from theoretical approach point of view, or did you did some practical exercises during that course?
No, only practical. So I mean theoretical plus practical, yeah. Okay. So we work with SPSS statistical software. We learn to do some operations in this software, so how to analyze data using this software, and yeah, it's very interesting for me.
I'm asking because I don't have that course because I'm a first year, so maybe.
Oh, really?
Thank you. So Aybulat wrote that he has a question. Please, Aybulat, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. And I was really happy to hear that you hope to launch your own childhood setting, probably a childhood center or like a early childhood school, nursery, something like that. That's exciting. And I wanted to ask, what do you think about sort of parents' perspective on Montessori in Kazakhstan? So what do they think about Montessori? And I understand if you launch your own sort of nursery, it will probably private one. So parents will need to pay fees. What do you think? Are they ready to? What will make your center different, really different for them? And what will they think of it? And will be they ready to sort of pay for that private sort of experience? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. That's an interesting question. And yeah, as the parental view, parental perspective is very crucial for children's upbringing, because children well-being, I mean, in the early childhood is dependent on 3 factors. So parental style, their perspective, and teacher approach and learning environment. So these 3 factors. And he's exposed to different kind of experiences. And from these experiences, from these attitudes of adults, it depends on how he'll develop. Yeah. And as a Montessori teacher, I recognize, maybe you don't know, but there are materials in the Montessori nursery. Children work with specially designed materials, which were designed by Maria Montessori herself, and it takes a lot of time and resources to make them. I mean, they are very costly, honestly to say, and that's why all Montessori nurseries that you visit in Kazakhstan are very costly, actually, honestly to say. And that's the case I'm concerned with, because I'd like this to be very accessible for many parents. Yeah. And yeah, I'm still thinking about it, but maybe it will be the blend. Maybe I will be working in the governmental nurseries, incorporating Montessori principles in governmental. Yeah, I'm still thinking about it, but if it will be my own, it will be purely Montessori. And yeah, maybe I will be just extending. It's not about only Montessori materials. Yeah, it's about philosophy. It's about principles. Even if you don't have these materials, even if you don't have a resource to let your child attend the Montessori system, you can still apply these principles. Even the way how you interact with him. Yeah. And even the way how you respect him, how you follow his needs, how you follow his interests. It's all about philosophy. It's all about understanding. Yeah. And it's accessible to all parents. And maybe I'm delivering now online courses to the mostly to traditional teachers of traditional approach early child, and they are really after courses they confess that they really transform this course, really transform their mindset, because they start to view childhood in another way, and maybe that will be part of my job. Yeah.
Great. So like traditional teachers can change after going through the training and become Montessori teachers.
Yes, of course. It's a matter of how you deliver, and it's a matter of, mostly they are ready to change, but they need this information. They need the way, how should they act, how they need to act. And when you talk about it, they're like, oh, yeah, and it's very inspiring.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Aibolat, for a great question. So we have a couple of more minutes. If anyone have more questions, please, you're welcome. Otherwise, we will wrap this meeting.
Can I ask something then, if we have a couple of more minutes?
Yes, go on. Yes, please.
As far as I know, I'm not good. I'm not good expert in Montessori. As far as I know, it's more about early years and I think primary school. So what happens to Montessori children after primary? So what's the next step for them? There isn't any Montessori system for secondary school, right?
In Kazakhstan, no. Yeah.
In the world?
In the world, yes. There are Montessori schools up until 18 years old of children. And they are very, very different from what we think school should be. They are little communities. So I'm talking about the Montessori schools are divided. They are divided according to age. So there are 3 to 6 years old, 6 to 12 years old school, and 12 to 18. So there are 3 kinds of schools. Yeah. And we have in Nur Sultan, we have 6 to 12 years school, and 3 to 6, there are a lot of them in Kazakhstan, but we still don't have this 12 to 18 school, which is very, very, I don't know, it's like kind of another reality maybe. But yeah, I understand your question. The next step is life. They go to life with what they have, and they are very adapt. They adapt quickly. Montessori children, even in traditional schools, because they know what they want, and they obey rules. Yeah, because in the Montessori setting, the rules are very, very. I mean, there are not so many rules, but they are
important.
Yeah, they are important. And children know why they need these rules. Yeah, and they are willing to obey these rules, and they know what they want, and they know their inner positionality. Yeah, in life. And when they come, most parents ask us, oh, what's next after this Montessori nursery? Yeah, and most of them are like, what do they do? What will they do? But they're the most adaptive children because yeah, they are flexible and they will find their own way even in traditional schools. Because yeah, and it's not about isolating them in a like ideal environment, the Montessori environment. Yeah, it's about life. They need to learn how to deal with other kinds of people and other kind of situations, not only this ideal. Yeah, and even I'm not saying that the Montessori system is ideal, yeah, but yeah, it's close to maybe. It's okay. It mostly depends on the parents, on how parents support. If parents are very supportive, they will overcome any kind of challenges in any kind of approach in any kind of schools. That's why don't be afraid if you have children. Yeah.
Where can we find these examples of secondary schools? Is it on Montessori websites? Some sort of like to have a look at their websites of these secondary Montessori schools. So maybe you can give a few examples, like names, and then we can Google them later.
Do you mean in Kazakhstan specifically?
No, in the world, because you said in Kazakhstan there aren't any 12 to 18 schools. So
yeah, you can just Google it. Yeah, you can find it straight. Yeah, you can say Montessori schools, secondary schools. You'll find it straight.
Many, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Aybolat, for your questions. Thank you, listeners, for your participation. Dear Meruyert, Ainur, I'm very glad that you took part in our Zoom meeting. I was very fascinated by your presentations. Both of them are quite different, but still within the scope of education. So I wish you the best of luck. I wish you good luck with the research, and please keep us updated about your achievements so we can share with our KPAUK group. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Molde.
Thank you, Molde. Thank you, Meruyert. Thank you. Yeah.
Good luck with the opening up in your Montessori school.
So yeah, we will see. Thank you. Thank you to all of you. It was very, very interesting.
Thank you. I will save the video and send you separately, and as well as I will be posting it on our social platforms.
Okay, thanks.
Will it be on YouTube or?
Yes, YouTube and Facebook.
YouTube. Okay.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye. See you.
Okay, bye.